have had my my YouTube channel censored for 8 years at least, probably longer. When I first loaded it up, I put it up there. It was going viral, and they stopped showing me any extra views. So I took the commercials down off of all my channel, off of all my videos, because I'm not going to have Google and YouTube profiting from my work, and they're not paying me. They're defrauding me. They're defrauding me of income because they're supposed to pay you based on how many people watch your videos. And if they're not attributing views to your videos and they're locking it down like they have on mine, then you're not going to make any money. That didn't stop them from showing their commercials and making money off the advertisers. So I took it down. So I took them all down. But poor Alex Jones, they've taken him completely off. And that's how he's funding his operation. And they've just pulled him off, said you can't advertise anymore. They just ripped the rug right out from under him. I mean, they ripped it out from me, but I wasn't really trying to make big bucks on it. I just was trying to inform it. I'm a righteous person. I'm Lisa Michaels. I just never really told you that. If you watch my videos, you know I'm Lisa Michaels. I did a live call-in shows in Oregon, in Beaverton, Oregon, so anyway, I'm very righteous. So I started doing love chat shows. Never talked about politics. Only talked about love chat. I would take on the female's perspective, and I get a different single man to take on the man's perspective. And if a woman called in, then he'd talk to her. And if the man called in, I would talk to her. And I actually wanted it to be a radio show, but public access being what it is allowed me to do it for free. So all I had to do was get a crew. So the crew turned out to be my sons, two high school sons and an elementary school son. Or maybe it was middle school time. I think elementary. Anyway, and they're friends. So I got a sponsor, the sushi boat, and I brought sushi in, and they agreed to come, and they were on the headsets on the big cameras, and my one son answered the phones, fielded phone calls, and they were switching over, and then I got an actual adult to direct for most of the time, and then I got another young guy who's very talented, Josh, to direct, and it was a lot of fun. It would have made a great reality TV show because they're mostly making fun of mom. I mean, here I am having a show on relationships. It's a topic I know very little about. I haven't had one in many years, or I hadn't at the time I was doing the show. I guess I'm now, but yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I thought it was a great idea because 98% of the population, believe it or not, wouldn't know it from the news, is heterosexual. Men liking women and women liking men. So that's the topics that I would take on. And I thought, you know what? If a local television station wanted to put that on, they would increase their viewership because people are starting to turn off local television stations except for the local news and the local sports. So this would be another type of format that would encourage live viewing. I also sell advertising, have spent most of my life selling advertising time. And so I saw that this is being a very big issue with falling ratings, that if they want people to be tuned in live to watch it like they would a sporting event or the local news, talking about love chat where you got to actually interact with the hosts on TV is fun. Like they interact with the hosts on radio shows. Same concept. Only this time we would look into the camera and nod and make the person feel like they were actually the one in the conversation with us instead of the other caller. So it was a lot of fun, had a great time doing it, but I just kept seeing all this news that was not being reported by the mainstream media. And I just couldn't tolerate it. I couldn't tolerate it, not a bit. So I started doing these accountability shows. I started with this one about Schumacher furs. This furrier had been there, I don't know, family business for 112 years, and the city of Portland just instructed their policemen to just let these half-naked, mostly naked anarchists demonstrate, throw stuff on people, those that were trying to come into the furrier store to go shopping, follow clients out of the store, and basically shove them out of business. So they sued the anarchists, and not only did they not win their lawsuit, this crooked judge who was appointed by George W. Bush, scary world, he actually made the furrier, who was thrown out of business, pay for the legal expenses. This is how corrupt the state of Oregon is, how corrupt the city of Portland is, and I couldn't tolerate it. I'm a righteous person, and I just couldn't tolerate it. And then when President Obama, we were leading up to the election, and I started hearing rumors that he might not be a natural-born citizen, which you have to be in order to be president of the United States. I thought, well, that can't be true. They've obviously vetted him. So I started looking into it, and so I invited that guy to come on in Providence, like everything else. I decided it'd be fun to. For Halloween, I dressed up. I had darker hair then, and I dressed up like Sarah Palin. Got the little wire glasses and wore red shirts and a red jacket and stuff. And so he actually looked a lot like John McCain. So that was kind of humorous. But anyway, so I said, hey, his name's Jim Ellison. Unfortunately, died of a rare cancer. God bless him. He was a wonderful patriot. Anyway, he came on there, and I said, just find out anything you can on the internet about Obama to see why we think he might not be a natural-born citizen. We'll just go over it all and just lay it out there and see what people think. So I did the video. It had to be 3 parts because I didn't have, at that time, I think you could only have like 10 minutes or something per video. And it started getting. They stopped the views. Then they stopped allowing me on my own video to even comment. The comments were going just gangbusters. I mean, lots of haters and lots of whatever. This is before they coined the word birther. Okay, so I guess I was one of the first birthers. So isn't that great? But anyway, that's to shut you down. That's Newspeak, that's Orwellian, that's 1984. Read 1984. You'll know exactly what's going on with these Marxists. So I was really frustrating. So they were not only this is a 3-part video. They were doing the second part and the third part. So I knew I must have hit pay dirt. Here's the deal. They only limit these views. If you go and you see that there's a certain number of views on something before you decide to watch it, and then you watch it, and you see the number of views does not increase, then this video is dangerous to them. This has got information in it they do not want you to know. Now, I think I'm pretty safe with the Obama's not a natural-born citizen one because, most of the stuff has already been super well vetted, especially by Sheriff Joe Arpaio. If you have any doubt that Obama was a usurper and was not eligible to be the president of the United States under the Constitution, Article 2, Section 1, or is it Article 1, Section 2? Anyway, go watch Sheriff Joe Arpaio's and the Cold Case Posse when they investigated his fraudulent birth certificate. That's just, obvious. There's all sorts of other stuff about it. The corruption is just beyond the pale. I didn't think that there was, and then I started investigating election fraud. In 2000, I ran for state rep in Oregon, and I ran into a retailer who told me that numerous of his clients had bragged to him that they had voted twice for Al Gore under both their married and maiden name. Then I talked to another candidate that was very well funded, unlike myself, and his research people had found 2 houses in downtown Portland, which could be barely the size to fit 1 or 2 people in it, let alone 400 or 500. One had 400 and the other one had 500 people registered to vote there. Now, why is that a problem? Well, 2000, Oregon became the very first state to go what I refer to fondly as all vote by mail fraud. So that meant that all the votes were through the mail, obviously. So as long as you got a fraudulent registration in there and you had them all the ballots sent to your house, you're going to sign the fraudulent outside of the envelope. You're going to sign that on all for the name of whatever Mickey Mouse. You're going to sign it the same way you signed it when you fraudulently registered. So they're just going to match that fraudulent signature of yours, signing the name of the fraudulent person you registered, your dog, cat, long dead relative, underage children, cartoon characters, illegal aliens, people who have moved out of the state. You can do that, and it'll go through. So one person will get to vote 400 or 500 times, and I'm certain they get paid for it. It's easy to prove it too because it's all vote by mail fraud. So, got to get rid of all vote by mail. Got to get rid of it. You have to prove that you have some reason you're definitely going to be out of town. Or you should not be allowed to. No. I know it's convenient, but why do you care if it's convenient if your vote doesn't count? Really? So I was pretty certain that Hillary Clinton was going to fix this election too. This is exactly. Tell me if this is not exactly what happened. Hello. Um, so rigged the polls, conditioned voters to expect Hillary win in the election. But they did that. The polls were to condition. They weren't to inform you of who was actually winning in the polls. They were to make you think that you were the only one in the whole wide world that would vote for Donald Trump and prevent people from even turning out. I'm like, why should I even vote? Hillary's already won. Trump from investigating election fraud. See, you didn't want to see after they fix the elections, they count on the fact that the loser Republican usually or the conservative will pick up his toys and go home with his tail between his legs, but never ask any questions. And because they're kind of embarrassed they lost, and most of the people that run for office have huge egos, and so that's the way. Okay, so this is all what I wrote right before the election, the things and telltale signs of a pending fixed outcome. Because Hillary knows she's going to win through a rigged voting system, no need to exhaust herself by holding unnecessary press conferences or poorly attended rallies. Can focus on auctioning off high-level cabinet positions to the highest donors, which is what she did. Hello, Clinton Foundation. No need to follow the laws of the land because virtually everyone who could hold her accountable has been silenced, either through threats of blackmail or bribery. No need to concern yourself with the truth. That has never been a part of her character anyway. You can rely on her media and the rhino establishment politicians to denigrate her non-establishment, non-politician opponent, Mr. Donald J. Trump. Now I'm going to tell you how they're going to rig it, but first I'm going to tell you why I was surprised. Thank the Lord. Lord is great. Oh, love it. The people in the hinterlands. Cannot tell you how much we owe our security, we owe our freedom, we owe Donald Trump and the escape of these evil people, all to you guys. People that lived in the farmlands, the Amish. There's a picture that just pretty much sizes it up. An Amish guy with his horse and buggies riding to go vote. Because all my investigation shows that the only counties that they fix, they don't waste these globalists, these bad people. They only rig the city, large city counties, like where I live now in Johnson County. I'm certain they rigged it. They've got Diebold, most corruptible machines they possibly can have, and they took out all the conservatives in the primary. See, here, you don't know what uniform everybody's wearing because everybody wants to be a Republican because they know they won't win if they run as a Democrat. So you have Democrats running as Republicans. So anyway, I'll get into that another time. So anyway, this is how they were going to hack it. This is how they tried to hack it. Hack the elections with ES&S and Dominion voting machines. Manufacturers use data cards certified, and I went and investigated this, talked to the elections officials and everything. They have these cards that they take, that they store all the tallies on before they take it to the general tally machine. They put all the people at the election place, they put them in the side of the machines, and that records it. So they have these cards certified by HAVA, to be HAVA created volunteer. This HAVA created Help America Vote created Voluntary Election Assistance Commission, which, thank you, Donald Trump has gotten rid of. Yes, Donald Trump. We love the Donald. Okay. Election Assistance Commission, which can be rigged to deliver Hillary's win under the watchful eyes of honest election workers and their leadership. Registration of ineligible voters. Using the mail-in votes of inelligibly registered entities like dogs, cats, long-dead relatives, illegal aliens, relocated, and cartoon characters, they can overwhelm the will of the legitimate adult U.S. citizen voters to ensure Hillary's victory. Post-election reaction. Donald J. Trump, and the majority of Americans are fooled once again into thinking they were in the minority when they really weren't. When in point of fact, their victory was stolen by the establishment. Once again, elections have consequences. If only, and then all the pundits, everybody, if only the GOP majority would have come out and voted, then we wouldn't have had Barack Obama for 8 years. If only people come out and voted for Donald Trump, if only we'd had a better candidate. So that's what they do. If only, but the GOP candidate packs up his, like I said before, packs up his campaign stuff to possibly fight another day and lose another election. That didn't happen because of the farmers. I love the farmers. Gots to love the farmers. Okay. Audit Election Assistance Commission. Well, we've gotten rid of that because it was voluntary anyway. And all these states were wanting to make sure they dotted their I's and crossed their T's. So they're essentially sending these memory cards to this corrupt place. Then they're programming it to make sure that they rig the elections for Hillary. And then they send them back there unbeknownst to anybody. Everybody thinking their vote counted the way they voted, and not so much. Anyway, you need to watch my video, voter fraud video. I go through exactly who the players are, ES&S, Hewlett Packard, Chuck Hagel, all these wonderful names of people that you should check out and see how this whole system got set up back in the mid-90s. Okay, so certified data cards prepared and sent directly to each of the county elections, parity of instructions to county elections. So they also get a standardized way of telling all the election workers to work. And the way that they're telling the election workers to work and to handle machines allows them their rigged system to make sure that the votes are properly rigged in each of the counties around the large cities around the country where Hillary was supposed to win. But this apparently, I don't know if this is true, but it looks like they had a counter coup and the CIA stepped in. They saw what they were doing. She was able to steal several states. This is what I've been told. You guys check it out yourself. Don't listen to me. I always check out stuff. And she wasn't able, and then they stopped it because the people in the hinterlands, again, love the farmers, were so frightened, terrified that they all got out and voted. And thank the Lord you did. See, your vote counts. Vote counts. When you all get out. If you don't all get out, vote doesn't count. Okay. See, we were finding in Oregon, people were registered to vote from the parking lot of a used car lots, and there was no house there, and they were just using fake addresses. It's pulling them out and it's registering Joe Schmo, and relying on the fact they aren't going to change it. Okay, use Google and Facebook registrants' names and age and address to find a match. You could do that. It's kind of tough. Check voters with a history of voting by mail or early voting. You know, I could still be voting in Oregon. I should call except for I was so involved, I know most people at Washington County elections, and they're really nice people. They have no idea what's going on behind their back. Check newly registered voters. Oh, and they really love to go after young people's voters. They disavowed my son's registration so that he couldn't vote because they were going to try and vote for him. See, that they figure young people and people that are unlikely to vote, people who have a history of not voting, they figure they can just glob onto that one, have it sent to their address, and then they get an extra ballot so they can shove it into the mix. Prioritize scrutiny in large urban counties. Yeah, that's what I said. See, I called it. I said it was just in large urban counties, but thank you, the farmers. Thank you, the farmers. Thank you, farmers. Thank you, farmers. So, let's see. Question the tabulation maintenance methodology of ES&S Dominion systems. Ask to have, they're basically the same company. Early on, it was established by Chuck Hagel. He was a Washington insider for 20 years. Comes back to his home state of Nebraska, develops the elections machine company, electronic election machines company, was brand different from those punch card things. And then he got them set up in all over the state of Nebraska. And then he beats the ex-governor in a landslide. Nobody knows who the guy is. He's only been there for 2 years building up these election machine companies. And if you want to run a campaign, the only person you absolutely have to have is a treasurer. So who's his treasurer? His business partner. And he wins in a landslide against the very popular ex-term limited out governor. Yeah, right. I got some land I want to sell you in Nebraska, maybe. Encourage all election offices to purchase Hart InterCivic. Hart InterCivic has been, last time I checked, it was in every precinct in the state of Oklahoma. Every one of them. Because I guess the Secretary of State gets to pick the whole thing now. Each county doesn't pick their machines like they do in most states. Anyway, not once, not one time, not in 2008, not 2012, did not one of those precincts vote for the usurper Obama. Not once. But for some strange reason, Chris Kobach didn't want to look into these. I don't know, maybe he just hadn't had a chance to look at them. I need to talk to him about that. He's a great guy. I love Chris Kobach. He's really a champion for voter rights, but I think he's missing the boat on this whole election machine because it's election machines that they can tap. It doesn't even matter. They could get into hard inner civic. We just need to get rid of voting machines. I know this sounds really horse and buggy like, but why don't we just go back to having precinct workers having just the same amount of precinct workers that are Democrat as Republican, maybe an independent in there. And when you put it in, you put it in the box, and the people at each precinct counts the votes. Then they send it in, back them up, send them into the Secretary of State's office. So if they need to audit them, they can audit them, and then they tabulate it and give us the results. Get rid of the machines. We did it for a number of years before we had computers. I think we can do it again. Okay, voters on election day wear red shirts, and these are all my ideas. And then I said take a picture of it. But also a huge thing that I really wanted people to do is to have somebody at the Trump campaign or someplace. I'm not computer savvy enough to do this, but to set up a database that people can go onto the website, log in, or not log in, but go onto the website, put in their zip code, their first initial, and last name. Because guess what? Once you've registered to vote, it's already public record. But then, if they got, say, there's 20 voters in this one precinct, and it looked like Hillary Clinton had won the entire precinct. But if you have just a few people that have gone on the website, put in their zip code, that shows that they're in that precinct and their first initial last name, then you can track it back and say, hey, this person's ready to testify that they did not vote for Hillary. So she didn't win 100% of this precinct after all. So there's all sorts of ways you can do it. I'd love to work with this Vice President Pence. If anybody knows him, wants to let me know. I've been investigating. I actually know John Fund, and I've talked to him several times. He was always coming out to Oregon and working with Ruth Bendel and other people about this, and as soon as I realized how big a part these crooked voting machines Chuck Hagel created, ES&S and Dominion and Diebold and all this other stuff for, I called him up. He had all his books. He never gets into the machines. He gets into all this other minutia, but he doesn't get into the machines. You got to get into the machines. Machines are not good.